All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Power Hour. I'm gonna be your host, George Saber. These are brought to you by Generation Crypto. I'm gonna go ahead and wait a few minutes up until we get a few more viewers. We're going Facebook Live and YouTube Live on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and cover Bitcoin price action, talk a little bit about Ether price action. We're gonna go over market cap, market dominance, and then we'll go into some of the calls and signals, and then finally I'll take some TA requests from you guys. If you have any TA requests, make sure to drop them off in our Discord. There is a link to the Discord in the video description below. So make sure if you want to join the chat, join the discussion, get into our Discord. What's going on, YouTube? You guys say hi to me. Same thing on Facebook. I want to know who all's watching, who all's in. As usual, these power hours will be recorded and they will be up on our YouTube channel. So if you happen to miss something, you can always come back and watch it again. What's going on, Miguel? Hey, Vasily. What's going on, guys? For TA requests, drop them in Discord. And if you want to say hi or say something on YouTube, feel free to do so as well. Taking questions from Tales of the Crypto channel. All right, so real quickly touching up on BTC. A few weeks ago, whenever we had still been down here in that 6,500 range, 6,700 range, I said I'd really love to see somewhat of an Adam and Eve formation where we have this steep drop with a steep pull back upwards and followed by more of a rounded curve. And that is just what we're seeing right now. If I was to, I guess last week, one of my last power hours, I guess last Monday, I had said that we want to see ADX flatline, right, and then start curving up. Because if ADX was to kind of come back down into a dip, then we wouldn't have much room for growth. And I'll go ahead and explain what I'm talking about. So as of now, I'm still bullish on BTC, right? Let me go ahead and kind of get rid of some of these indicators. Our red line is going to be the ADX, right? And whenever we started entering, whenever we got into this range, I said I really want to see ADX start curving back upwards, and this is that red line moving back up. We're at 26.7. That is a pretty good indication that we should see this trend accelerate. ADX at 24 to 26 is an acceleration period for ADX for the trend, so we should see this trend accelerate. And I've spoken of two scenarios last week. One scenario would be if ADX was to come down and back down into a trough, and that wouldn't mean much strength for this uptrend. The fact that the ADX kind of curved upwards and is back at this 26 range and is ready for takeoff to find a new peak, because we know the trend reverses at peaks and troughs, right? And had we gotten down into this trough on this rally, we would have gotten in some deep trouble, or BTC would have. So as of now, I'm still bullish. I know on some of the smaller time frames we're seeing this rising wedge, and that's typically indicative of a pullback or a reversal. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw this wedge and see if we're still in it. And it appears as if we are. The ADX on a 1 day looks really strong. So we're going to be at this pivot point. We either break out past this wedge and it's completely dismissed, or we have some type of pullback. If we were to see a pullback, I had some fibs up in our channel yesterday to see how we would trade this pullback. And this being our swing high, we're going to stop right there. typically on the first 1 to 2 legs up, Bitcoin likes to do a 23% or 38% retracement. So we might see the price come back down to that 8,700 range, possibly 8,300. And I want to see it remain bullish where we don't go past 8K, right? But I'm not ready to even open a short or do anything up until we see this wedge break down. We want to I would enter this wedge once we break down from the wedge and put my stop really close to my entry. So I would enter it. Let's say BTC comes down and starts breaking downwards. I would enter right here with a stop right back inside the wedge. Hi, Sochi. Do you guys have any questions on BTC on what I've covered so far? As far as why I think we are bullish and why we might see a minor retracement or a minor pullback. And this pullback would just be profit taking in a sense. I mean, people that got in here, they're already in some pretty good profits, especially the margin traders. By the way, guys, if you're in Silence of the Lambos and you have questions, please drop them in Tales of the Crypto. All right, guys, moving on. Let's check on our market cap. I've got it zoomed in from the all-time or from this yearly low back in April, mid-April. And this is where I was screaming. April 7th is when I put out that report saying we're going to enter the bull, right? We're turning bull. This is going to happen. And market cap since then has gone from 249 billion to 425, right? So that's awesome. We have added almost 200 billion since I sent out that email on the 7th saying, guys, this thing's ready to rally. This is the entire market cap. I'm going to go ahead and move into market cap excluding BTC. And what we want to see is we want to see if these charts are mirroring each other or if one is accelerating faster than the other. And what that's going to do, it's going to give us an indication whether a lot of the money that's coming in the market is going into BTC or the alts. And right now, it looks like it's mirroring each other, right? Moving into market dominance, that's when things start looking a little different. Jofdom, back to here. If I was to enter a long, I would wait for the pullback. I would wait to see what happens here. Here I'm seeing somewhat of a bullish pennant that failed once and then broke out the second time around. And so we want to see what happens on the pullback. I would not buy the top of a wedge for a long. I would wait for the retracement to come in. We shouldn't be FOMOing in anything because that's how we get wrecked, right? We want to get in before the FOMO. If we miss something, we wait for the pullback, and we play it accordingly. So I would wait for probably a 38.2 retrace, or until we go oversold on like a 30-minute or 1 hour or 2 hour. Before I actually move back out of this chart, I want to check on the RSI. I want to check for divergences. I want to see what's happening here. It appears that, I was checking on these two highs yesterday, and this RSI peak is lower than this one. So this means that there has been no divergence here. But whenever we start looking at these two peaks, there's quite a bit of a possible divergence. I mean, it looks like a divergence already. So we might see a minor pullback, but then again, Bitcoin is so volatile that it could overlook divergences. And that's why we're in a zone where I don't want to jump to conclusions where enter short for next leg up or enter long for the pullback. So I want to wait and see what happens. Multi-beast, this isn't your first power hour. It's not time for alts yet. Well, moving into market dominance. And this starts in, actually got May 2017. I want to start a little sooner. Back on the 7th, we were still in that, I guess, direct correlation where Bitcoin and the alts were moving up and market dominance together, right? But then there was this peak that was reached where BTC reached that 45% dominance and started losing dominance again. And so we're back at that 38.3. As for all-time low dominance during an alt rally for BTC is going to be at 32.7. In that report I put out on the 7th, I did say that we're going to approach this market dynamic that we've never seen before. Alts are at a the peak for alts was 24.6% dominance. We're currently at a 24.2. So we're really close to the altcoin dominance all-time high. Typically, BTC, whenever it gets to that all-time low of that 30 or that 37, where we at today, we're at once again 37. We can get as low as 33. That's when Bitcoin likes to fight back, and that's when we'll see BTC go on those surges and alts start losing value. And it's really important right now is for us to keep an eye on this because we want to ride alts up until that threshold where they start losing value, because we can enter BTC, and once that surge is done, we could diversify back into alts for the next leg up of altcoins. And based on historicals, I believe based on last year's data, Cypher and I were looking at it. Even Zero joined in whenever he came back from Australia and New Zealand. We should see a significant rise in alts for quite some time. We were saying there's probably about 2 to 3 more weeks in this rally. This thing started in April, so we should see a pretty good continuation for this increase in market cap. And based on my report, I did say that this is going to be a green quarter. So we're going to have April, May, June be green months. And this is based on the last 4 years of what the market has done. Any questions on Bitcoin dominance, market dynamics, and such? And for the guys that are still longing Bcash, I would get weary whenever Bcash gets to that 10% market dominance. It doesn't seem to ever surpass that. As of now, Bcash is at 6%, right? So there might be a couple more legs up on this run. All right, gang, I'm gonna move into and cover some of our trading ideas that we've recently published. Lisk, we got in, we got stopped out, and then we jumped back in again. Lisk is one of our heavier gainers. It's a really volatile token. We did see somewhat of a bear divergence here for a downwards break, found support at RSI support, and now we're heading back up. If you look at it on a 1-day chart, it looks prime for somewhat of a bull run as moving averages are converging. And we want to start seeing more of these crossovers happen. We've gotten fairly close. We want to see more and more moving average crossovers for this violent leg up, because we do know that when these crossovers happen, we get these big runs. Cover one of Zero's calls would be ZIL, Z-I-L. It's a Binance token. So his entry was below 10.7. We're still at that 10.7 range. Stop loss 8.5 to 9. This thing is looking pretty good. It's looking like a healthy pullback to go in. Risk category is still high on ZIL. We kind of it's too soon to have an update. This trading idea was published just a day ago, really. I'm gonna move into some of the ones that we got in a little bit, I guess, much sooner than the ones we're talking about now. I'm gonna go over IOP. This is one of our really, this is a high risk trade as well. Looks like we're setting up with a bull flag on the 1-day chart. I've been tracking this one pretty tightly. Moving averages are wide open. We typically don't see a fake out whenever moving averages cross on IOP. We just see a continuation of a run. They've historically only crossed twice before, so we should see further continuation. I'd love to see another. This was a 1,000% upwards move. I'd love to see something similar of IOP. Volume seems to be slowing down, but that's just what IOP does. It goes up and down in volume. It's either not doing anything, it's either consolidating, or just raging up. I believe we are still above the stops at 26.50. We still haven't gotten stopped at. It got pretty low, but then it broke up above our entries, and it's still range trading. I really like this bull flag setup we saw up until these two candles, right? This is a pretty strong formation, and we're still not consolidating below certain moving averages, where we're still somewhat bullish, really bullish. Qtum. This is a great project, great team, a lot of partnerships, a lot of development, and I believe Qtum's ready for a rally. Our entry price was at 21.4. We're at 23.5, so we're already in the gains on Qtum. It has not quite picked up momentum. Long term wise, consolidate down to 61.8. We're back up to the 50, so we should see a bullish continuation. Go ahead and go back to Tales of the Crypto, get some questions for you guys. I guess it's on to the Lambos. cover ontology. This thing broke up and then back down. Should have been stopped out of ONT at this point, unless you're going in for a long. Verge, we closed out of that trade. Litecoin still longer hold. And cash. And cash target 1 was 492, target 2 was 605. We didn't quite get to target 2, but I still see bullish continuation. I'm going to drop an RSI here. I actually got a bullish divergence on stochastic. Volume still looks solid green all across. There's just a little round of profit taking for further continuation. Volume is pretty good. It's in that almost 2,000 range. All right, from here, I'm going to go ahead and hop on and take requests from you guys in terms of the crypto. So, Matthew, you want me to check Zcoin? Zcoin is one of the tokens that I preached really heavily last year, and I first talked about Zcoin when it was $7.50, and we were talking about, you know, we're really gonna take this thing seriously once it breaches $15, right? And then when it hit $40 with the masternodes, I was preaching that this is $100 coin. So we did end up going from $7.50 to $140 a coin on Zcoin. The guys that got their master nodes at 40k, you know, they were then worth 140k. Guys that got them at 20k and 10k did a whole lot better. But Zcoin is one of those tokens that is doing really well. Volume wise, it is low. This is an anonymous token, right? And we want to see more case use out of it, where it's getting utilized more and more on these markets that take anonymous tokens for, you know, more of an anonymity case use. Fib wise, if we were to say that this last move up started back at the 22k range, we're back up above that 61.8. I would consider picking Zcoin back up in this range for further bullish continuation. I know they've reduced the node rewards and the miner rewards. I want to check in on the FA on Zcoin before talking further about it, because a lot of the supply was locked up, or is locked up in nodes. Guys, if you just keep shilling coins in tails of the crypto, I'm gonna lose some of the requests. So I take 3 at a time. Once I cover 3, I'll ask for 3 more. Covering lumens. I was looking at lumens yesterday, and it appears to have somewhat of a fractal formation. I believe there's more to come from lumen. The fractal I'm seeing was essentially here, where we make this move up into a profit taking round, right? And then we got 2 green candles, and the next one should be a massive green one. Lumens like to go parabolic. And we know they're partnered with IBM. We know IBM's got all these blockchain partnerships. They're actually at Coca-Cola factory, presenting blockchain as a solution for Coca-Cola. So I do see another incoming leg up out of lumens. XLM likes to run up at a really high ADX at 51. Technically, historically peaks at 57. We're at 36. So based on historicals, this trend is still intact and it's not at a peak. So last night we were adding one of the portfolios that I manage. We were adding lumens at this range. So this looks like a good re-entry or in a pullback to add on. I'm gonna go to EOS. This looks really good. EOS is past the previous range, right? When something breaks its all-time high, it is likely to rage out. It was a nice bullish pennant set up here over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and it is moving up pretty heavily. So EOS is bullish, right? Technically speaking, ADX, it hasn't been trading for too long, so it's going to be hard to see what happens with the ADX. Its last peak was at 49, right? We might go higher at this time. Let me check for divergences and see if there's an incoming pullback for a buy. I dislike this stochastic. Let's look at the regular RSI. So we had this RSI peak. As of now, this new peak, well, it's making a higher peak. That's awesome. This is on a one-day chart. So this thing still looks pretty good. It's going to go flat across line. So you want to see RSI go up higher and break past this previous peak on EOS, right? I wouldn't FOMO in anything at this point. Even historically, its last high was back here. Let's see if there's a bull div since then. If we bounced off bottom, we did go oversold with no div. Was there a recent announcement on EOS? Guys, Poly is looking still pretty good. I put out the trading idea when we were in this previous range. It seemed to have found support above the previous range, right? So a range is identified by 3 touches. And we got 1, 2, 3 touch down, and now for an upwards rally. I believe Poly is still looking bullish. This is a new listing, and it is only on Bittrex and KuCoin, right? So for a longer term hold, this thing hits Binance, we should see it start raging, not ranging. Sorry, but we are opening above the previous range and closing above the previous range with a nice rejection wick here on that 4-hour chart. So Poly is still a hold. So a lot of our analysts like the FA on one chain. I see some divergence on the chart, right? Where we're seeing a higher high on a lower RSI peak. We're somewhat seeing of this triple top formation. And we see an earlier divergence. If I was holding one in chain, I would essentially profit take and wait and see what happens at this range, right? If we break above and we get a 1 day close or 1 day open above the range, that would render it more bullish. But this RSI bearish div has me a little worried, where we're seeing a higher high. I guess these are similar highs, but then this was the first div, and now we're seeing another div where we've got a higher high on the chart and a lower high on the RSI. Tron looks pretty good. TRX is looking mighty good. ADX at 25, right? So this is going to suggest a trend acceleration. Moving averages have been positive and breaking upwards. And we could essentially see another type of bull run where Tron does this again, right? Based on moving averages. It is a good hold and it is a good long right now. We just had a crossover not too long ago, and price isn't that far off. Actually, it is. It's but it still looks like a decent total. We're 30% above crossover. Well, MOD, we put out a trade idea on it based on the break above the pennant, right? And we had this sell-off, and some of you guys asked about, hey, what's going on? This thing, quote-unquote, dumped. Well, we're seeing it rally back up. Moving averages look good. ADX is at a 49. Historically, it could go higher. But once again, RSI looks pretty clean. We're not even in that overbought range on the 1 day. We don't see divergence on the 1 day. Stochastic looks like it's coiling, so if this thing calls properly, we should see a nice upward surge. So 419 is pretty low volume on Binance. I do see somewhat of a divergence on QSP. Go to 4 hour, try to hone in on it. All right, guys. If you guys keep just, I'm trying to get alt requests one at a time. So if you guys just keep shilling alts, I'm not gonna do any more alt requests. So he said take 3 at a time. I'm trying to focus, and we keep getting these alts coming in. So until I ask for more alts, no more alts, please. So QSP volume wise, I'm not too impressed. RSI, don't see another bullish div, but I do see some RSI support in this range. This looks like a flag, right? Or a wedge. I want to see what happens next. If I was holding, I would still hold. I wouldn't get out. I mean, a lot of tokens are bullish, a lot of them are making gains, so I wouldn't get out just based on this flag formation. We might see another upwards move. But as far as volume, it's not too aggressive. Moving averages look good. ADX looks good. So we're seeing more bullish than bearish signals. In fact, BVol at 55, it's a really low volume token. I wouldn't get into it today. RSI looks clean. We do see a bullish divergence, no bearish divergence. Then again, you know, DI positive is coming down, so the more aggressive this DI plus is going to be, the more aggressive the chart is going to be, the more gains we're going to experience, right? So ADX is at 30. For a long-term hold, Factum looks pretty good. For a momentum trade, I would wait a little bit and see. I mean, it looks like it's dripping. As far as like momentum trades, Bittrex charts, anything sub that 600 range is going to lose momentum for this day, next day, or so on, up until the volume breaks that threshold. Some of you guys with our volume monitor, if you guys are subscribers, you have access to our volume monitor, so you should be able to monitor what's going on with volume, net gain, and so on. Wax. So the FA on Wax is really attractive. I published a trade idea of accumulate between 1900 and 21. We're at 39. We peaked around 55. Right, volume's at 142. It has sustained that volume for quite some time. I'm holding my wax through almost the end of the quarter, right? Because there's a lot happening with their FA. They released the new exchange. I think they even have an airdrop coming up. And I know they pitched at PayPal 180. They're really active with their presence. This is one of those sleeper tokens that we picked up pretty early on. I'm not a big hodler, but I'm gonna hodl this one, just because of the community around it, the case use, the utility, and so on. I do have a high stop, and yeah, if I was to set a stop today, I would go back and put it at 34.83. Where if it breaks out of this range, I would sell out, but this thing has done pretty good gains. It's been a consistent gainer, and volume hasn't even breached that 600 level. So I want to see Wax hit 1,000 BVol, where we're getting that real FOMO, and that's when it's going to get really, really attractive. ETH. ETH looks pretty solid, right? We know ETH is going to have a really big quarter, and I believe this is Ether's year. I said that back in January, that this was going to be the year of Ether, and it's somewhat proven to do so, right? We know that Ether is a really good hedge when when BTC goes on a surge and starts pulling back, Ether typically rallies, but this time around we're seeing them both rally side by side. We did publish a trade idea. It should have gone in strong FATA. Cypher put out an ETH chart saying it's looking mighty attractive, and we're actually looking for a margin entry on ETH, Cypher and I think we missed it because we wanted to sleep. That's it. So this is the ETH chart. It's we did see a crossover on the 12-hour and the 1 day. As far as a long-term hold, ETH is solid. It's great. There was some FUD about ETH that came out yesterday, the day before, about Ether and Ripple. But the person that spoke about them being non-regulated securities isn't even a regulator at this point, right? This guy he used to be a chairman of the SEC, but he's not anymore. So whenever heads like that don't hold their positions come out speaking, it's like, what's in it for you? Are you trying to FUD? Is ETH a security? I personally don't think it is a security, right? In a sense, it's a smart contract. It's a smart contract security there's no legal precedent on a smart contract being a security. Hence, I'm bullish on ETH. If that causes more FUD, I would come in and pick up more ETH until we hear like a legitimate response from the SEC. But as of now, the chart is not reflecting the FUD. So, and typically the chart is going to reflect the sentiment. Had his statement had more weight, we would see ETH really causing a pullback. And I sort of wish it did, because it would have allowed us to go in on margin pretty heavily. Hey guys, next up, ZRX. All right, looks like we're lining up for more gains out of ZRX. I published a trading idea on ZRX when we were still in this range. I said, hey guys, we got a bullish pennant developing. This is going to be a nice long-term hold. Not only that, but it's also on the custodial list, right? So we're up 61% on ZRX without even touching it. So these are the tokens that are nice. When I say let's let the market do the work, that's what I mean. Get into these strong positions. We got in here before the 7th when we were still getting ready. So, 4-4, we're still in that range, but below where I have my measurement going, and that's a really nice number. Whenever we're making 61% in BTC values from BTC's all-time low, and Bitcoin went from 6K, 67 to 93, right? So there's another 30%. So we made 61% in BTC values, while BTC made 30% in USD values. That's somewhat of an exponential return when it comes down to a dollar values. And ZRX is still looking bullish. A lot of these coins that are on the custodial list are going to produce solid gains for a sustained period of time, because they are essentially being stored off exchange by institutions, and that's gonna lock up some of that supply. Alright guys, I'll take 3 more alt requests. I'm gonna cover Bcash just because we spoke about Bcash. I published on Bcash. I try to get you guys in that reversal play fairly early on. All right, so as far as momentum, we see 1, 2, 3, or 5 like massive bullish engulfing candles. Where would the next level of support be on Bcash? The one that we don't want to break, and that would be the 154 range, right? There's going to be minor support here because we see that minor resistance. True support's going to be a little lower at 152. I would expect some profit taking. I would, because in BTC values, we're up at 71%. It was up 83%. So for you guys that got in when I was screaming Bcash, I got in our day trader lounge 2 nights in a row saying, hey guys, this thing's gonna make some gains. I was trying to make our non-subscribers gains as well. So you know, a little bit of an encouragement after this bear market, right? And the guys that got in with me on margin, right, we made 700%, closed it. I made another 250% on this 2 trades. So this was a nice one, guys. 71% and over the course of a few days. And it's time for it's time for profit taking is what it looks like. So tying up those stops, you pick it back up at some of these support levels. 52 would be a good entry. 139 would be a good entry. And if you were to do a fib extension from the last swing high, this is our last swing high, yep. From our last swing high to the swing low. Look at that, we bounced right off that 78.6. So essentially we could come back and test that 153. So I had the first support line at 154, fairly close. If we were going to trade this off fib levels, we could see a pullback, profit taking pullback for re-entry. So I wouldn't FOMO into Bcash right now. I would essentially profit take and wait. I profit took last night on that margin trade I had going. All right, BAT, Link, and ADA are the last 3 I'm going to review. BAT still moving up. BAT is another custodial holding. Want to see BAT break above this range. It was another recent announcement on BAT. Where is the previous range? So we've seen a lot of price constriction. I believe volume has died down. Right now we're in the middle of a range. What is the middle of a range? It is a chop. So ideally, if I want to add on BAT, I would put an alert right at that 4,200. If I wanted a profit take on BAT, I would sell at the top of the range at 63, right? So there's like a 20+% spread over here. And we should see more fluctuations. This price constriction, I'm not a big fan of it. Volume's still pretty good because I've seen BAT come down to that 50, 70. B-vol, we're at 110. That's decent volume. We want to see it retest the top of the range. We want to see it break out of the range. And I would personally add to my BAT position at 41.96. That's based on the 1-day chart. ADX seems to be raging pretty high, right? We're at that 55 level on a 1-day, but I don't see a bear div on the 1-day RSI. Go to 4-hour. That doesn't look the most appealing. So in a sense, I'd like to see a pullback back down to these previous levels of 43, 42 for an ad. All right, Vasily, just because I like you. I was discussing strat yesterday, and I think it's got a pretty violent leg up coming up. Moving averages on Stratus, don't just do this. We do see, I'm gonna put a 1-day RSI over here just instead of a Stoke. We do see this hidden bullish div where we go oversold at a higher price. We're still in that oversold up here too, but then the 1-day ADX is at 24. So I can see something happening with Stratus in the next couple of days. Volume last night was 450. Today it's 278. So it's still in that decent volume range. We know Stratus likes to break out at that 700 to 800 range of BVOL. We go to Link. So we're past the downtrend on Link. I personally not familiar with the project. I don't hold a position in this chart. We're past one downtrend. We've gotten past the second one. This looks good for an entry right here because it's not quite a wedge. We do see a wedge that broke out, didn't get a retest of it, but it's trying to retest this resistance level, and it's closing and opening above on a 1-day. So if I was to get in a Link, I would, this wick was a beautiful buyback, right? But then I would essentially put a stop below this resistance line. And we do see quite a bit of volume here. This is good. This looks really nice, this BVOL. Once again, you know, if BTC goes on that surge, it's going to affect a lot of the alts. It's gonna trigger some stops. It's going to do like a stop hunt. It's going to trigger some sell-offs. And one last token, we'll cover ADA. ADA looks good. ADA looks like it is setting up very similar to Lumen, where we see this upward rise into an area of consolidation for a next leg up. Tie stop on ADA would be below the range. Here we see 1, 2, 3, 4 wicks on a 1-day chart. So it's massive price rejection. All right. So we see this price rejection doesn't really want to dip down past that 31 range. So this looks like a good point to accumulate. Volume is growing a lot on ADA. Oh yeah, 5,000. Check Bittrex volume. 1,500. This is a good range in as far as volume on ADA for a run, a secondary run. If we were Elliott waving a lot of these charts, this would be wave 1. Somewhat of a pullback. Not sure if it's sufficient for it too. But as I said on the 7th, we're going to see this boom that's coming, and we're seeing that boom, and we're still in the earlier stages of it. So up until BTC makes that next leg up and triggers some stops on alts, we're still going to see a lot of these alts continue to rally. Well, guys, thank you for tuning into today's Power Hour. I hope I answered all your questions. If you want to get in with our community, ping E Woodsy. He's on our Discord. He'll give you a tour. He'll show you where we post our trade ideas, our strong TA and FA, some of our margin channels as well. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we stay in this bull run throughout the week. And see you guys on Discord.